Hey, I have here these two kilns from Paragon, so I figured I'll do a short comparison. They are both the sc2 model, which is popular with jewelry makers, and the one on the left side is the base model, and the one on the right side is Pro. Most of the stuff is exactly the same, like the size of the chamber, the controller, the maximum temperature, and so on. The main differences are on the outside. As you can see, the Pro, which is the one on the right side, is a bit bigger than the base one, and it's also heavier by about 12 pounds, which I believe is like 5 kilograms. In terms of price, they are almost the same price. The Pro is just like 50 or 60 bucks more expensive as of October 2022. So, other differences. The doors are different. Here you have a knob that you pull to open the kiln and push on to close the kiln, and as you can see, it's not exactly easy to close it. So as I'm closing it, it's probably not visible on the video, but the kiln shakes a little bit, which means that if you have like enamel inside, the dust might move a little bit, which you might not want, but you can deal with that. So on the ledge here, you have these two balls that can be pushed inside, and there is a spring here. So that's putting a pressure on those balls. So you can unscrew one of these screws here and remove the spring on one side, which will make it much easier to open or close. Or I saw some people just like unscrew a little bit of screws on both sides to make it easier to close. Okay. On the Pro, you have this handle, which makes it just much more comfortable to open and close the kiln, but it doesn't mean that it's like 100% smooth. You still get a little bit of movement, but if you just take care and close it slowly, it's pretty stable. On my kiln, even when I close it, there is a little bit of play, but just a tiny bit. On the base one, actually, like, doesn't move at all. And on this kiln, you can also adjust how easy or hard it is to close, and that's by screwing in or out this ball here. Okay. So another difference is in how the panels are mounted. The panel here is a little bit uncomfortable to kind of work with. You have to bend over to get to it easily or to see the display. On the Pro, the front panel is tilted a little bit, which makes it easier to access and see the display. Okay, another difference that I noticed is that at least in my kilns, the thermocouple that's on the back here it sticks out for about like 1 centimeter into the chamber. On the Pro, it sticks out much more. It sticks out about 4 to 5 centimeters in, which means I guess it might become a little bit limiting if you have like shelves stacked. You want to make sure that nothing is touching there, right? But I don't think it's a major problem, but let me show you. So here I have a flask that has like 4 inches in diameter, and I can still comfortably put it inside without it touching the thermocouple, so I'm okay with it. Okay, so let me close this again. Cool. So what else? There are some small differences on the back side of the kilns. The Pro is supposed to be easier to access. You just unscrew all these screws here and you get to the electronics that are inside. On the base model, it's similar. You unscrew all the screws, but the screws are on like the side, top and bottom, which might make them a little bit harder to get to, while on the Pro they are all directly on the back panel, making them theoretically a little bit more accessible. That said, there is actually more screws here than on the blue one, and when I needed to get inside, it was like super hard to unscrew some of those screws. I almost stripped the head, so I wouldn't say it's like super easy, and I wouldn't say there is much of a difference there. Another thing, but it might be a difference specifically in the years between these two kilns. This one is 2016, this one is 2017. The Pro that I have has a cable that's like a few feet, like 2 feet maybe, longer than the one on the base model. Okay. Another thing that I can show you if I run the kilns is that the Pro has a solid state relay, which means that it's very quiet when it's running, while the base one doesn't, which means that it has like a clicking sound when it runs as the relay turns on and off. Okay. And the clicking sound, that's the relay that's turning the kiln on and off. So now it's on. So you don't hear the clicking sound, you still hear the buzzing sound, but the clicking sound is gone. And I believe that's all. Let me know if you have any questions.